Welcome to Live with Medium Lisa Phoenix, and step into the magical presence of the metaphysical realm. Lisa will share the wisdom and musings from her own experiences, have intriguing conversations with other mediums and healers, in addition to exploring a wide array of topics and teachings on intuitive and mediumship development. Lisa will be taking your calls and inviting your friends and loved ones in the spirit world to share their stories with us. Raise your awareness as you are reunited on the level of love, and let's go live with Medium Lisa Phoenix.
Hello, everybody. Happy holiday weekend. It's a great day in Southern California. Welcome to the Live with Lisa Phoenix radio show. I'm Lisa Phoenix, your host, a medium and energy intuitive. If you want further information about the show, please visit my page on the OMTime radio site, and please like me on Facebook at Lisa Phoenix Live. My show is all about healing, mediumship, and energy management, and my special guest this morning is Mavis Pittilla, spiritual medium and author, in addition to being a tutor at the Arthur Findlay College of Mediumship in Stansted, England. Mavis is considered to be one of the most skilled and experienced mediums in the United Kingdom and has worked as a medium worldwide for more than 40 years, bringing inspiration, hope, and comfort to thousands of people. She studied with Gordon Higginson, considered one of the most knowledgeable and inspirational mediums of the 20th century, and was introduced to the Arthur Findlay College in the late 1960s, where she became a tutor and eventually a senior tutor. She has been instrumental in helping to develop many of the younger mediums currently working today and continues to provide master classes for tutors. Please visit Mavis's website at www.mavispittilla.com. That's MavisPittilla.com. You can also reach her if you want to check out what classes she's teaching at the Arthur Findlay website at www.arthurfindlaycollege.org. Mavis, happy holidays. Hello.
Hello.
So happy to have us with you today.
Lovely to be with you, Lisa. Nice to talk to you again so soon.
Before we get into the world of spirituality and mediumship, I want to go ahead and let everybody know that you're going to be doing a lot of international traveling next year. You're going to be in the States quite a bit. And you're also going to be in Australia. And I did want to mention that you were going to be in the Los Angeles area in March. And
I certainly am.
And I would highly recommend to those of you in the U.S., if you want to sign up for Mavis's workshop, it's going to be a 4-day event from March 30th through April 2nd. And you can sign up if you go to www.melindakushner.com. That's MELINDAKUSHNER.com, and go to her events page. And that's going to be a real treat, Mavis.
It certainly is. And of course, I've met Melinda now a number of times, and she's one of my mentorship. And I just love seeing her grow. And I think that's what it's all about, Lisa, really, is just allowing people to allow their own spirit and soul to grow, and to look at the philosophical outpouring that comes from the soul and the journey. And it's an inner journey, you know. It's not an outer journey, it's an inner journey. And I just love teaching, and I love seeing light bulb moments come on with people. I call it light bulb moments, when they think, oh my God, yes, that happened to me.
Right. Go ahead.
Well, it saves people feeling so alone, because quite often, you know, when you start to develop the psyche or the intuitive, you feel very alone. And I think the aloneness sometimes can make you feel so isolated that it becomes not a joy and a privilege to use it, but then it can seemingly become very hard work.
Yes, and especially when you're on that spiritual journey, a lot of the healing that goes on, and a lot of the healing, you know, it can also kind of make you feel alone if you don't have people.
Absolutely, because you've got to be able to share, and it's not the sharing of how good you are, it's how far the journey is taking you. And we get a lot of people, don't we? And I can do this, and I can do that, and I've achieved this, and sometimes they're like empty. There isn't that feel of belonging. We're all in a partnership.
Right.
You and I are part of a great mosaic, and we each piece fit together for the betterment of two worlds. And we have to all link together. We have to unite so that we comfort and support each other, but we also comfort and support the two worlds.
Right. Because and again, I also know at this time of the year, Christmas time, it's a lonely time for a lot of people, and a lot of people are missing their loved ones on the other side.
Absolutely. I think that this is when mediums in particular really are in their own right have to go out there and work for people and help them to know that they're not alone, that the spirit world are around them. But even more than that, Lisa, it's the ones that are not actually understanding mediumship, that are alone, that are sat alone, and suddenly they get the sense that their mother is there or their partner is there, but it can't be that, it's my imagination. When the spirit world are trying so hard to actually influence the people that are alone and sad, trying to influence them to say, no, it's okay, we can go on together still. I'm in a different world to you, but we still can grow together. And sometimes, that's the sadness. When we don't teach and we don't talk about the natural law of communication. God doesn't give communication to just one person. He affords all of us an opportunity to feel the presence of those we've known and loved. And even though we may not progress to be mediums on platform or to do one-to-one sittings, but even to be able to be honest and be able to say, yes, I felt the arms of my mother around me during that lonely period. What a wonderful, wonderful gift God gives us to just feel that.
Yes.
And move us away from that loneliness. You see, that's what mediumship's about. It's about recognizing that God is not judgmental. He doesn't take anybody away from us. He gives us every opportunity to still have a contact with them, even if it's on a different level. But it doesn't mean to say that everyone then is going to be a platform medium or a television medium or any of those things. It means that the spirit will rise. And in the rising of the spirit, they will feel peace.
Yes, and I think that's such an important point. I also think that it is so important just in day-to-day life. I've had times in both sides of this where working in mediumship, but they're also working out, in a secular job. And it's just amazing where you're led by spirit when you're open to it. You don't have to be a big platform medium to be able to help those around you.
I've met some wonderful mediums in my 40 years, and are their names written on plaques in churches or in centres? No. But their names are written on my heart because they were there for me and they helped me. But they'll never be what you call well known. I think we've got to try and move away from this stardom thing that we've got about mediumship. Yes, there are one or two that will be born to be exceptional, and then there will be others that really are born to just utilize their mediumship in the most spiritual way possible.
Yes. And we had talked earlier, just when I had talked to you another time, we had talked about, it's not the difference and the responsibility. We had talked about both psychics and intuitives and mediums, and just the responsibility as far as when you're bringing the spirit world in, as opposed to when you're just helping people and healing and giving messages.
But you know, when you're intuitive and you're psychic, if you are true to the calling of your soul, then a miracle occurs in your life and in the life of someone else. If you're psychic and intuitive, you're a healer. You heal two worlds. You're helping, but not necessarily are you giving evidence that life continues after death. So we have a lot of intuitives that do a lot of good work, but they're not actually in touch with the spirit world. But you know, you've got to be a very good psychic to be a medium. You can't be a medium unless you're a very good psychic.
Yes, I definitely agree. And I wanted to ask you, Mavis, I believe, and I think you do too, the importance of prayer in all this. And
Absolutely. I think that moving away from the idea that God is sat on a throne and you go to him and ask him for the new bike and, you know, the new television and the new this and the new that. Let that go and just recognize that God is within, and he's within you and he's surrounding you. And therefore, just resting in his care and in his keeping and knowing that full well everything that you need, not that you want, but that you need, God will see that there's an opportunity for you to fulfill that. So prayer is important to me.
Yes, and we're coming up to a commercial break here.
Okay.
We will be right back in a couple minutes. You're live
All
with
right.
Lisa Phoenix and my special guest, Mavis Pittilla, and we'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience in all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com.
If you've ever said, I do want it all. I do want happiness. I do want love. And I do desire the happily ever after fairy tale life, then this show is for you. Join me, Dame Nicole Brandon, for my internationally acclaimed show, Bridal Talk Radio, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, where I'll bring you the top experts in the fields of communication, money, relationships, finance, pleasure, play, travel, sexuality, parenting, real estate, adventure, comfort, care, passion, and love.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, everybody. You're live with Lisa Phoenix and Mavis Pittilla. Mavis, I wanted to ask you, can you explain and expand a little bit more on how we can live more from the soul?
Yes, it's really quite simple. If you look, I wonder how many of you, and you in particular, have been on a motorway or a freeway, you call it, don't you? I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes, freeway.
And you've been in the outside lane, and the voice inside you has said, move over. And your conscious mind has said to you, no, I've got to be there by 7:30, so I need to stay here, and I need to push, and I need to put my foot down on the pedal because I've got to get there. And that still small voice has said, but move over. I wonder how many of us respond to that thought that quietly says, move over.
Right. And
because that can be the soul voice. And that happens so many times in our lives, that the conscious mind actually can be the destroyer. It can be the aggressor, which the soul is the quiet, lovely part of you that says, no, don't worry, move over. We'll still get there in time. We'll still be in that point. And I use that a lot, that symbology of the freeway, because it's so true that everybody goes through that point where there is that extra thought that rises up and actually touches the consciousness and quietens it down and says, look, follow me. Follow this thought. Don't follow that aggressive thought. Follow the loving thought. Move over. And that actually stripping away the conscious need to the fulfillment of the soul and its desire to be at peace in life.
Got you. And can you tell us how we can kind of maybe practice more to kind of hear that voice? Because, with all the crazy in the world, I think sometimes it's hard for people. They hear it as just this fleeting thing. So is there a way to practice? And
I can only tell you my way, Lisa.
Okay.
Everyone has their own way, but for me, it's about actually, I use the symbology of the chakras. And as I'm coming up through the chakras, those are the energy centers within. Mm-hmm. And I just use 7. But as I'm opening them up, I actually want to get in touch with my soul. So I open it first of all, thy will be done. My soul's will be done in my life. And as I move on through the chakras, then I create that atmosphere within myself that reduces the power of the conscious mind and allows the soul mind to actually impregnate all that is good and true and actually that wonderful godlike consciousness that's within us all. And it's the still small voice. And sometimes we can only get that still small voice by disciplining the conscious mind.
Yes.
Yes. The conscious mind's the lion. The soul mind is the lamb. It's the quiet. And when it says, and the lion shall lie down with the lamb, and that statement's in one of our good books in the Bible, it's really very important that, because what it's saying is not the physical animal, but the conscious mind is the lion. It will roar. It has a need. It's got a desire, and it's got to be fulfilled. And then the lamb is that quietness of the God source within that says, be still and know that I am with you. And allowing that stillness to rise up, that is not an easy thing to do. All you can do is learn to be disciplined in the time you allot yourself to be at one with your God.
Yes, and it's like, in some ways too, it's allowing ourselves to be open to the lion tamer to tame us, correct?
Absolutely. So the soul is the lion tamer. I like that one. I'll use that one, Lisa. Because it is important that we do get that under control. And it's the same with psychics and mediumship. You know, when you first get your ability to be able to see the spirit world or sense people, sense atmospheres, you're so keen to prove it to everybody. If I could just tell you a story about myself.
Yes.
I really saw the spirit world instantaneously. Never got it when I was a child, didn't have it as a teenager, but 3 months to live and bang, there I see the spirit world. But then I loved it so much that I was afraid that it would go if I didn't keep all the doors open. And so I was not, how can we put it? I was not really in control. My conscious mind said, oh, well, if you don't see the spirit world, perhaps they'll go and they'll never come again. So I used to have a lot of problems at the beginning. And I find with many of our mediums, they're like that. They feel the spirit world's got to be there with them all the time.
Right.
And of course, it's not like that at all. The spirit world have lives to lead as much as we have lives to lead here.
Yes, and I also think too that when we first open up, a lot of times it's like you'll have all these different experiences, and then it's like they pull back a little. So it's almost like the spirit world is showing you, you know, the different things and ways you can walk, but then you have to step up and go through training.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%, and that's where it goes wrong, because then you think, well, if they're telling me not to use it at certain times, they're telling me to close down and be the normal, natural, physical person, emotional person that I was before. But I can't close it down, because if I do, am I letting the spirit world down?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I doing it for the right reason? They don't recognize that at times we are here to be personally responsible for our own lives.
Yes, and
therefore we can't have the spirit world doing it all for us.
Exactly. And the thing is, you know, as humans, we're going to go through all different things. There may be times where we are, you know, maybe we want to reach our loved one, and that's what's motivating us. So it's, instead of just putting judgment upon ourselves, I feel if we step back and just let ourselves be trained, that stuff will be worked out of us. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. I know I meet up with a lot of people that have lost partners and children,
mm-hmm.
and they feel that if they can open this mediumship, that they can just talk to their family. And of course, mediums are here as servants. We can't choose who we're going to have a contact with in the spirit world. So we have to learn that we are rendering a service. The spirit world don't serve us. We are here to serve them. So if you've lost a husband, for instance, he may be around you for a while, and then he will probably join your group in the spirit world to help you to bring peace and harmony to other people.
Yes.
And prove that life continues after death for others. So you may start out on the journey thinking, I'm doing this because I want to keep my contact with my son or my husband.
Exactly.
And then suddenly it's opening the doors for other people to be healed through you and through your mediumship.
Exactly. And that's what it was. That's just spirit used that to open the door for you. Does that?
Well, you can't begin this work until the soul is ready. So for some people, they will come into it at a very young age probably lose it again at puberty, and then it will build up again in their later life. Now, in my family, for instance, I have two more sisters, one that was never involved with mediumship, and one that was very much so from being a child. I didn't have it at all until I had that trauma where I was about to die, and then I was given my life back to live this world, in this world a bit longer. So we know that you can't begin this journey until you are soul aware of the calling within yourself that makes the connection with the spirit world.
Yes, it's like till your soul has that awakening.
Absolutely. So all the power then ignites, and it allows you to see this very real world that was always around you, but that you couldn't see until that moment.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. And
you see, when people are saying, well, the spirit world did this and the spirit world did that, they're not allowing their souls to grow. You've got to allow your soul to ignite to such a degree that your power moves across to the spirit world and brings that power into its fullness for the communication.
Gotcha. Now,
so it's no good saying, well, I'm going to leave it up to the spirit world and they'll do this and they'll do that and they'll do the other. We, you and I, have to recognize the intention of the soul and the spirituality of the power of the soul that makes the contact absolutely unique and a miracle.
Yes, and I think that's what is so important that people see in relation to mediumship. They go hand in hand. It's not one or the other. Do you know? And
absolutely.
I think people sometimes now see it. When we come back from commercial break, we'll talk more about this. Stay tuned. You're live with Lisa Phoenix and my special guest, Mavis Pittilla. We'll be right back.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids.
Come heal yourself. What is healing? Healing is nothing but connecting with your all-knowing higher self that already has solutions to all your problems and is always there to guide you. Through this show, we help you to connect with that you are and tap into that innate potential you have to transform your life and fly high. Please join me, your host Monica Goyal, every Sunday 7 p.m. Pacific. Namaste.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, everybody. You're live with Medium Lisa Phoenix and Mavis Pittilla. Mavis, we were talking about the connection between mediumship and the soul. And I really feel it's a very important thing for people to be aware of, that mediumship is a skill, but it's not just a skill.
It definitely is not a skill, and it cannot be developed. It can only be unfolded and become stronger as the soul opens and flowers. It is about the soul. Let's look at the physical body is the home of the soul. The soul is the home of the spirit. So we know that God force is within us and is within the spirit of us. That's the purity of us. The soul is the vehicle through which God expresses himself through our physical bodies. So he expresses himself through our eyes, through our touch, through our auric field, through our sensitivity, through our mediumistic values. And remember, it is a spiritual attunement that you have to have. It cannot be a commercial one. You cannot develop this just because you think it's a good idea. The soul and the spirit have to ignite you to know that you are wearing the mantle. Excuse me, Lisa, I've got a very bad cold.
No, that's okay. This is awesome.
The mantle that we wear, and the mantle is the purity of the soul. So when I'm reading people, I'm looking for the auric field. I'm looking to see if the soul has been ignited on the spiritual path of mediumship. Now, even with the intuitive and the psyche, the ones that read the tarot cards, the ones that do the rune stones, the ones that use all the other tools, those tools, if they are used correctly, the soul uses those tools to help humanity. And ultimately, that will help the spirit world without the psychic being involved with the spirit world. But it will serve anyway. You know, wherever you are, whatever you're doing in your life, your soul has a pattern. It's got a plan. It knows what it's come to do, and it will have a way of serving humanity on one level or another. And we have to get back to that, Lisa. We've got to get back to that spiritual commitment that we are about our Father's business, that
Yes.
we are doing the work of the God source. We're not doing it for Mavis Pittilla or Lisa. We're doing it because the God source, through the soul, has given us an indication that this is what we should be doing.
Excellent. I think that, yes. And I really think that people need to know that, because I think especially, maybe on your side of the world too, but over here in the U.S., there's been so much commercial, so many movies of this and that about this work. And I think it's the time now to kind of bring us all together and to bring it back to home again.
I would agree with you, but I do think it's in every land and every country. You can go to China, you can go to Japan, you can go to Iceland, Finland, anywhere in the world. Mediumship is starting to flower in all these worlds. Why is it that the soul or the God source is indicating to us that we've all got to rise with the soul now? In so many different countries that it's never been heard of. We now have a responsibility to teach it correctly, and the correct way is through soul, through prayer, through dedication of our lives to the goodness of what is to take place in the future. That's what it's about, really.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And I just like to see how in the different places and in the different lands, things are starting to come together. To me, that's a miracle in itself.
Absolutely. when you look at it, and I mean, in my lifetime, which is 46 years I've been doing this, there are countries now that are opening up to mediumship like never before. And that's because we're talking about the spiritual value. We're not talking about a dogma. We're talking about the soul and the spirit within the human being that is so relevant to peace on earth, goodwill towards man.
Yes, yes.
It will not be that third husband or that new front door key. It will be that feeling of oneness within the completeness of the self.
Yes.
And once we have that, then we will be happier with whatever God has chosen us to do, whether it be psychic, whether it be mediumship. You know, and people sometimes say, oh, well, they use the cards and that's not much good. If you're helping humanity, you are doing good. It's when you actually try to fool yourself sometimes in believing you're with the spirit world when you're not. That's when the trouble comes. Because sometimes people will think that they're with the spirit, and actually what they're doing is working psychically. And this is why we've got to train them. But in the training of them, it has to be done on a spiritual quality, not the intention of the commercial.
Gotcha. And what kind of advice can you offer, like people that are starting to awaken and open up?
Well, you know, in America, you've got so many people that are interested in this. I love being in America. It's the one place. If I'd have been a lot younger, I would have loved to have lived in America, because I really do get a lot of pleasure out of talking to the sensitivity of the mediumistic people that are there. So if we can just say to people, if you are sensitively aware of the spirit world, or you are sensitively aware of your soul has come to do something specifically to help humanity or the spirit world, then find a group of people of like-minded minds. Don't look for somebody who's going to lead you by the hand and tell you you're going to be brilliant.
Ah, yeah, definitely.
Find somebody who's really genuinely caring about the two worlds, but also caring about you.
Mavis, would you be able to tell us, speaking about learning mediumship and stuff, would you be able to tell us a story or two, maybe with your training with Gordon?
Oh goodness gracious me. Yes, I loved him. He's the Colossus, you know, of modern day spiritualism. And it was a joy. And when I first met Gordon, that's going back many, many years, I was in my miniskirts with my hair piled up on top, like Sandy Shaw. And he was just a joy to be with. But, you know, he didn't look at the person. He looked at the soul. You know, he looked at the soul of the medium, and he chose one or two that he would actually took under his wing, and he would take them forward on the journey. And that's exactly what he did for me. He taught me to understand the difference between the psyche, to rejoice that I was a psyche, and also rejoice that I was a medium. But to always remember that they were a miracle. Gordon really was such a spiritual man and believed in the spirituality of mediumship. And you talked about prayer at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Well, Gordon liked to pray, but he liked his private prayer. He liked to wander off into a cathedral or a small church and sit quietly. He wasn't interested in what the denomination was, whether it was Catholic or Church of England or Methodist. He just would like to go and sit quietly. And he taught me to be quiet so that I could listen to my soul. But, you know, I got so many things wrong, Lisa, when I started on this journey.
Really?
Yes, because I used to say to him, I can't shut them up, So it's there, and people would come into my home and I'd say, don't sit there, you'll sit on the cat. Or don't sit there, that's my granddad. And they couldn't see anything, of course. It was absolutely ridiculous. But that was the stage I was in. So being with Gordon actually nurturing me into the understanding that it was what I needed more than what the spirit world needed. They didn't need to be in my home so that I could see them. I needed them to be there. So I learned a lot from Gordon about my own fragile needs, I suppose, and how the needs of the spirit are so different, and how the needs of the soul are different. So, I learned a lot from him philosophically, because he wasn't just a teacher of mediumship. He taught the philosophy behind mediumship and the reason for mediums to be born, and that it's a genetic stream, that we are genetically born to become mediums. And you yourself, for instance, probably will be third generation. I think you are third generation, if I remember seeing you. Mm-hmm. And it will be there. Does that mean that you've had mediums that have stood on platform or actually made claim that they could prove life after death? No, but it means that you've had people in your life that were intuitive, and Gordon taught me about that. He taught me to be proud to be a psychic, as well as be proud of the miracle of what the psychic good can be, and the miracle of mediumship in communication. And we are losing the miracle, Lisa.
Yes.
We're losing this reverence and this sacredness of what we're about. I hear mediums now say to me, I didn't do very good, but I can do better than that. But they created the opportunity for a miracle.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
That's what it's about, creating the miracle.
Yes, definitely. I totally agree. We'll be right back. You're live with Lisa Phoenix and my special guest, Medium Mavis Pittilla, and we'll be back after these messages. Please stay with us.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Welcome to The Gathering Around My Kitchen Table on Equilarium FM, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join my guests as we integrate spirituality into everyday reality with vibrant conversations, inspired interviews, and my latest channeled guidance to inspire and brighten your day. I'm Claire Johnson, and together we'll be raising vibrations across the nations.
The future of internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Welcome back, everybody. You're live with Lisa Phoenix and my special guest, spiritualist medium Mavis Pittilla. Mavis, thank you so much for sharing that about Gordon. He seemed to be both a caring teacher, and also he could also be like, when it came to mediumship, he could be like, no, this is what you have to do, right?
Yes, he was very much that. He would say, you know, he'd watch you create the link. He'd watch the spirit world working with you, and he'd say to you, you know, you could have gone on with that old gentleman and given him more time to bring forward. You could have described what he was like more than you did. So he helped you to actually look for the deeper, more meaningful communication and contact with them. He did that all the time. So whenever I was working, he would be in the wings and he'd be watching, and then I'd come off and he'd say, oh, you didn't do that very well. You didn't give so-and-so enough time. And sometimes I'd end up crying, and then other times I'd end up laughing.
Yeah, gotcha. And you teach that same way, correct?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I believe we need more teachers like that.
I would agree. I would agree that, you see, if you're going to teach mediumship, you've got to be able to work with the student, but with the person in the spirit world that's working with the student. So you've got to have that link so you know what the spirit world is trying to give the student, what the student is accepting and rejecting, so that there is more of a positive link. And you can only help them by being involved with it. And if we're lacking in anything, we're lacking in that ability now for the teachers to actually link into both the person, the young medium, and the spirit at the same time.
Gotcha. And is that but that is something that people can be trained to do?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and the more you go through the training and you allow the natural law to open up and fulfill itself, but it is, you know, people, they want to rush into mediumship. They go on 2 weekends and they think they can do it.
Gotcha,
you know,
yes.
They go on a week, they come to the college and they say, I have 2 weeks at the college, and then they go away and they've got the cards that say that they're a psychic medium and, you know, that they can do this. And the other thing that I've noticed over the years, how many of them are not content just to be mediums. They want to be this and they want to be that and they want to be the other. Where for me, it's a lifetime. A lifetime has taken me to actually just fulfill my commitment to the spirit world to communicate with them.
Yes.
You know, so I don't have all the other attributes. Possibly, perhaps I should have, I don't know. Perhaps that's laziness on my part. But what I do know is whatever I do with the thought of the security and the integrity for the spirit world. They've got to come first and second. So I'd like more specialists in mediumship.
And that brings up an interesting thing. Would you be willing to share with us about your mentorship program?
Yes, that would be lovely to do that. First of all, the mentorship program is about the whole of the person. I'm not interested in training mediums. I want the philosophy, I want the awareness, I want the understanding, so I want the theory. So it's so that they can actually be involved, or I can be involved with them on every level. So
kind of like we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's knowledge. You know, it's pastoral care. It's caring for them when it's not working well. It's getting them to understand the value that God shines within them, even when they think they're rubbish. They're not rubbish at all. They're just going through a cycle of change. So the pastoral care is important, and just knowing that you can gently nurture the soul into its potential of mediumship. You can't force it. You can't say the length of time it's going to take for a medium to develop. It may take for some of them quite a long time. And then you get other people that come to the mentorship that are excellent mediums, and making contact with the spirit world is not the problem. But the understanding and the integrity and the discipline that's needed to become the teacher is important. So the attributes of the mediumship, particularly as far as I'm concerned, is, for instance, you started off this interview by saying, talk to us about prayer.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How many times do we see people now doing a demonstration and trying to draw people into a prayerful mindfulness before they begin the dem? We don't see it anymore. So for me, it's important that I get the whole thing, that I'm talking about them being of quality, of understanding the mediumship, but knowing that they've got me at the back of them that's going to be there for them for the rest of their journey, whether it should be 2 years or 22 years. Well, as long as I'm here. But then again, probably I can do more good over there. I don't know.
No.
All right on that one. Don't ask me that one. I haven't got an answer for it.
Yeah, well, okay. We love you here, Maeve.
But really, that's what it's about, the pastoral care, the mentorship, understanding the spirit world. You see, people don't understand the spirit world. They don't know what happens at the time of death and what's the difference between a traumatic passing and a passing where cancer is involved or a heart problem. We don't talk about where do they go and what kind of treatment do they have in the spirit world. We don't talk about how they progress on. So for me, part of the mentorship is to get people to become more involved with the spirit world on that sensitive level where you become aware more and more that they are people. They're not just commodities. They are people. And they are missing the people that they've left behind. And that we're there to actually comfort and support to wealth.
Right. And that eventually we'll be going there too.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that we maybe acknowledge that so much either.
Oh, too right. I mean, would we say such silly things? Would we say we've got your father here when we haven't got enough evidence to substantiate it? Are we going to find ourselves when we get to the spirit world that there's a queue of people saying, why did you say that? Because I didn't tell you to say that. I don't think that the people are aware, mediums are aware at all of what is going to take place at transition.
Right. Very much so. Now, if for people to get involved in your mentorship program, they go to your website, correct?
Yes,
okay.
They do.
Okay. No, that's wonderful. And we are running short on time here. So again, I wanted to put in here that you are going to be in the U.S. quite often in 2016.
Yes, thank God for that.
You're going to be in the Los Angeles area in March again, and you can go to melindakirshner.com, MELINDAKUSHNER.com, and go to the event page for that. You will also you might have to help me out with this, in June and July, you're going to be in Canada and Seattle, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then you are coming back through down to California again as well in July, right?
I am. Yes.
And then I believe is it Boston in September? Where are you going?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Oh, and Lilydale.
And Lilydale.
Oh, that should be wonderful.
My very favorite place in America is it? Lilydale. Yes, I love it.
Oh, wow. That will be wonderful.
It will be wonderful. I just love it. If you haven't been, you should go. That's where our history, our pioneers are there. So to celebrate our pioneers, we should be all going there.
Yes, and so I want to recommend all of you guys out there in Radio Land, please go to Mavis's website and sign up for these events. It's a special treat that she's going to be in the U.S. so much this year. And also, I know you're doing some other things around the world in Australia, Ireland, and several other places too, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, I'm enjoying my time being a globetrotter.
All right.
Everybody tells me I should be slowing down, but I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing.
And we're happy that you're doing it too, Mavis. And we're so happy to have you with us on the show today. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Lisa, and thank you very much.
No, and thank you for helping all of us expand our awareness a little bit more today. And as I mentioned earlier, to all of you out there in Radio Land, please visit Mavis's website, www.mavispittilla.com. And again, I highly recommend those of you in the U.S., please check out her website and attend her workshops. If you want to receive mediumship training from the best of the best. Again, Live with Lisa Phoenix is on every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is 10 a.m. Pacific. So please tune back in with us next week. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.